Hey guys, what is up YouTube? Zachy Cuber here. So I just want to make a video today talking about a very controversial topic in the cubing community, and this is going to have to do with Rubiks' new competition idea and how they're doing like a world championship. For those of you who don't know what's going on, Rubiks is essentially making their own world championship. So as most of you know, there was the recent world championship sanctioned by the WCA in Paris in July of this year. But Rubiks have decided they're going to make their own world championship, and they partnered with Red Bull. Now, this thing is so retarded. Like, I don't even know what's going through their mind. First, they sued the Cubicle for apparently tarnishing their name, which I don't even get how that works. And now they're doing this, and everyone thinks that they're trying to undermine the WCA. So let me just go and break this down about how dumb this whole idea is so that everyone understands. So for those of you who don't know what's going on with the lawsuit in the Cubicle, essentially the Cubicle are being sued by Rubiks for apparently tarnishing and misrepresenting their brand because of selling knockoff cubes. Everyone knows that Rubiks is just butthurt that their cubes are not as good. So yeah, that's basically most of it. There's a huge like 20-page document on the whole lawsuit. I've read it. It's pretty crazy, and yeah, so it's kind of just adding to the reason why this whole world championship thing is not a good idea, because they've already pissed off the cubing community by adding such this ridiculous lawsuit. That's the first thing, and now they're doing a world championships that are basically undermining the WCA, and I'm going to get more into that in a minute. So Rubiks have essentially teamed up with Red Bull, and basically what they're going to be doing is having their own world championship with their own rules and everything. They made a video about this. So Rubiks have essentially teamed up with Red Bull, and basically... Now, I'm actually not going to be showing the full video here because I fear that Rubiks are going to put a copyright claim on my channel, and I would like to avoid that. However, I will leave a link to it in the description. And one thing you will notice is that it has about 25 likes and about over 800 dislikes. So this really goes to show what the target audience, the cubing community, really thinks of your idea, Rubiks, and essentially maybe the turnout that it's going to have. Although I am still going to talk about the video because I assume that most people watching this have already seen the video and know what I'm going to be talking about. So yeah. Now the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that there are actually quite a few famous cubers in this video. So you can see Sebastian and Philip Wire, Alexander, I forget his last name, and Dana. So the thing about Dana that really surprised me in this video is that Dana is sponsored by the Cubicle. So, and the Rubiks are suing the Cubicle. So why is Dana helping them? Does she just want money? I'm not sure, but it just doesn't make sense to me why she would help someone that's attacking the person she's sponsored by. So that didn't make any sense to me. And also another thing you're going to see is that they're all using GAN's Rubik's Speak cubes. Oh, what a surprise. So this is basically already implying that the only cubes that are going to be allowed to be used are Rubik's brands. So say goodbye to anyone who wants to use MoU, a GTS, a Volk, even a regular GAN like a GAN's SM, or even a Xanchi if you're like an old dude, okay? It's basically saying, they're basically saying, fuck you everyone, the only thing you're going to be able to use is GAN's Rubik's Cube or a Rubik's brand, because that's the only cube that doesn't suck made by Rubiks. Now another thing I want to talk about is the fact the events that they chose. So first off, there's 3 events if you don't know already. So the 3 events are apparently regular 3x3 in these weird formats like best of 5 or so. I don't even know how it works. Then there's 3x3 one-handed, and then here's the strangest of all, 3x3 match the scramble. So I was really wondering, like, why the hell is this an event? Like, it's not even an official WCA event, nor is it an event that a lot of cubers openly do. So I'm not sure why they chose this event. Now, I think everybody, if you don't already know, I mean, this is pretty obvious, but I think the reason Rubiks only chose these 3 events around 3x3 is because they know all their other cubes suck complete balls. Like, they're 4x4. Have you ever tried turning a Rubik's 4x4? Like,
hold the cube very carefully in your arm. Then raise your arm so that it is now vertical. Then with extreme speed, rotate your arm down towards your body. And when your arm reaches the horizontal level, release the cube.
legit, I mean, even stuff like QJ is better. Like, literally, it's that bad. 4x4 and a 5x5, if you ever have turned a Rubik's brand 4x4 or 5x5, you will know how awful it is. So, and I'm assuming Rubiks don't want to spend any more money to get GANs to make them one. So, this is what they're doing. So, I guess that's the reason behind why they're doing that. Another dumb thing is that I think for the one hand, I'm not sure if it applies for the other event, but for one hand at least, there is no inspection. And this is really dumb because inspection is one of the most crucial parts of the speed solve. You plan your entire cross and maybe an F2L pair in inspection. So why are they taking away inspection? They're taking away one of the most important parts of the solve. Now, the next issue I want to talk about, kind of controversial thing, is the fact that they're splitting up genders. So males are competing separately from the females, and this is just really weird. Now, the reason why I think this is a bad idea, first is the amount of people. Now, if you compare something like regular video games, they're actually about an equal amount of males versus females playing video games. But when it comes to Rubiks, if you look at the WCA, I forget who did it. I will try to put the thing up on screen. There was a guy, I think it was DG Cubes or someone. He wrote a program and it tested how many females were in the WCA versus male, and the number was ridiculously uneven. It was like 95% to 5%. So something crazy like that. So that's one reason. And also, it's creating a sexism barrier. It's implying that they think that girls aren't as good as guys, so they deserve their own group to compete in, which I think is really dumb. I think they should just keep it as it was. Everyone can compete together. And honestly, it's been proven. There have been females to win titles in many events. Like I think Eva Cato, she won square one at the U.S. Nationals, and there's no separate female group. She was competing with everyone else. So I think it's really dumb that they're splitting groups up like this. I don't know what they're thinking. Now, another thing about this that's just plain stupid is the amount of countries the types of countries they chose. So if you look at this map, you can kind of see where all the qualifiers are going to be held at. But you can see that they missed several crucial countries. One big one is Canada. There's literally no Canada, and there's so much cubing in Canada. They didn't include that. Another one is Peru. Peru has so many cubers, but they choose to include countries like Slovenia. Now, let me explain some things. So no hate towards Slovenia as a country, but if you go to the WCA's website and you see how many people from Slovenia have competed, you can see it's 85 people. Meanwhile, if you go to Peru, you can see it's 1,470 people, yet you chose to include Slovenia over Peru. Now, I guess some can argue, because there's Brazil, people from Peru can go there, because it's like, relatively close. But still, can't the same thing be said about Slovenia? Why can't someone from like Turkey or like Hungary nearby go? Like, that's just a really, really dumb idea. Like, I don't know why they're calling it a world championship, yet they're not including very, very big countries. Now that we've talked about the actual video itself, let's talk about how this affects the cubing community and what the cubing community thinks Rubiks, because it's pretty crazy. So let's just read some of these comments and you'll just laugh. So, let's see. First one, boycott Rubiks and any and all products and brands associated with them. This is just terrible. Wow, way to undermine the WCA one by one. This is an insult to the cubing community. Unbelievable. Boycott Rubiks and Red Bull. When you try to shut down the WCA. I'm not okay with this in any regard. Trying to undermine the WCA, which has been developed through years of hard work, is just plain unacceptable. And Sam, I honestly agree with you. It's just ridiculous. Like, the WCA are the ones that have made cubing what it is. Erno is in support of the WCA. The WCA is what's made cubing relevant. The reason all the videos and articles on cubing, they're mainly from WCA related events. So it's just crazy. And it's just awful what they're trying to do. Now, I've heard rumors about the WCA supposedly being worried about, like Ron and Chris being sort of worried about this. Then again, this is just a rumor. This is what I've heard from some friends. But yeah, I really want to now talk about the impact this has on the WCA and why they chose to not go to the WCA to do this. So I think it's pretty clear to everyone that the reason why that Rubiks didn't go to the WCA is because they're obviously not going to want to conform with the WCA's regulations. Rubiks are just coming along. They're not really the ones in charge. They're not in charge of the WCA. The WCA are the ones in charge of pretty much all the speed cubing competitions. So they're going to be the ones in charge of the regulations. If Rubiks say they wanted to get in on this and they were to team up with the WCA, it wouldn't work simply because Rubiks don't want to conform to their standards. One of the issue I see is this goes back to the idea about how they want everyone using GAN's speed cubes, is the fact that the WCA wouldn't want to put restrictions like that. The WCA wants everyone it wants to be as free as possible. Everyone can just do what they want. They can bring their own cubes as long as it's not giving them an unfair advantage and whatever. And they also want Another thing is this goes back to a comment by this guy named James Golding. So he says here, I feel like this is an attempt to turn speed cubing into a spectator type event. It simply doesn't work like that. At competitions, you have people of all skill levels competing alongside each other. So this kind of another thing explains the WCA want to keep cubing as it is. They don't want to make it to like this all head-to-head thing with these 3 events. They want to keep all the events, and that's why Rubiks are not going to kind of conform to the WCA, because they don't want to follow the guidelines that the WCA have put in place. Now, the biggest issue with all this, like some people might be saying, oh, everyone's overreacting, oh, Rubiks just want to do their own championship. There's nothing wrong with this. It's really because of what they did before that now kind of sets them up for this impression that we now have. Because when they sued the Cubicle, they've kind of implied, oh, we're here to take over, we're going to be the ones in charge. That's kind of the impression they gave off. So now, when they do this world championship, now everyone thinks, oh, they're doing this because they want to get rid of the WCA. They want to just discard the WCA, and we want to be the ones in charge, regulating everything. We want to decide everything. So, yeah. Now, honestly, I'm going to be real for a minute. I mean, while nobody likes what Rubiks has been doing, technically, they can do this. I mean, it's their cube, and I guess some can argue, oh, they can just do what they want. I mean, it's completely disrespectful and against any morals to just tarnish the WCA and kind of just throw them aside saying, oh, we're the ones in charge now. We want to do competitions after all the hard work that Ron and the rest of the WCA board have put in. So it's just very, very insulting. And but I guess if you want to say in the end, Rubiks, I guess they can do what they want. I mean, it's their cube. They own the patent or whatever. And yeah. Now, I just want to finish this off with a message to Rubiks. I just want to tell everyone at Rubiks saying that this is not helping the community. The community really, really hates you at this point. This isn't going to make us want a cube for you more. Maybe you'll get attention of a few top cubers from all the money you're going to give them, but in the end, the cubing community doesn't like this. And even if you go after the WCA, most people are not going to want to conform to your thing simply because you're missing so much. If it was a suitable alternative, people would consider it, even if you had gone after the WCA. However, when you've completely ruined everything and pretty much just tossed the whole WCA regimen aside, now nobody is going to want to help. So that's just my message. So I just want to close out this video, guys. This video was probably pretty long. I want to thank you all for watching, and leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.